Most men misunderstand what it really means to cut someone off. They think it's about anger, ego, or trying to punish her for pulling away. In reality, removing access to you is about restoring balance. When your time, attention, and emotional availability are always on the table, they lose value. Familiarity breeds comfort, and comfort often turns into complacency. The dynamic shifts not because you said something wrong, but because your presence became predictable. When you cut her off, you're not withdrawing to create pain, you're withdrawing to create clarity. The moment your energy is no longer constantly available, the emotional environment changes. There's no more instant validation, no quick reassurance, no emotional safety net she can lean on without investing back. That absence forces awareness. She begins to feel the space where your attention used to be, and that space invites reflection. Access is power in relationships. The person who gives it freely without boundaries often ends up being undervalued. When you remove that access calmly, and without drama, you send a strong, silent message. Your time and energy are valuable, and they are not unlimited. This isn't manipulation, it's self respect. And self respect is one of the most attractive traits a man can possess. Silence does something words cannot, it removes resistance. When you stop explaining, arguing, or seeking understanding, there's nothing for her to push against. Emotional pressure disappears. And in that quiet, her thoughts begin to organize themselves. Many women don't fully process what they're losing until it's no longer present. The mind needs space to feel absence. What most men get wrong is they cut her off emotionally but stay mentally attached. They replay conversations, check constantly, and wait for a reaction. That energy leaks through. True detachment isn't about ignoring, it's about redirecting your focus inward. When you genuinely remove emotional access, the shift becomes real. This change in dynamic often triggers curiosity before it triggers emotion. She wonders why you're not reaching out, why you're not reacting the way she expected. That unpredictability resets the balance. You're no longer the one chasing clarity. She becomes the one questioning. Removing access also protects you. It stops emotional bleeding. It gives you room to breathe, to regain your center, and to reconnect with your own sense of purpose. You're no longer stuck in reaction mode. You're in control of your emotional state, regardless of what she does next. When done correctly, cutting her off doesn't push her away. It removes the illusion that you'll always be there no matter how you're treated. That realization is often the first step toward renewed respect. So understand this: clearly removing access isn't about ending things, it's about changing the terms under which you are available, and that shift alone is often enough to change everything. The moment you redirect your focus away from her and back onto your own life, something fundamental changes within you. Focus is power. When your attention is scattered between checking for messages, replaying conversations, and wondering what she's thinking, you give away your emotional center. The mind becomes reactive instead of intentional. But when you consciously pull that energy back and place it on your purpose, your habits, and your discipline, you regain control, and control is the foundation of masculine strength. Self control isn't about suppressing emotions or pretending you don't care. It's about choosing where your energy goes. Every time you resist the urge to reach out, explain yourself, or seek reassurance, you reinforce inner stability. You remind yourself that your value doesn't rise or fall based on someone else's attention. That internal alignment is felt externally. People sense when a man is grounded versus when he's desperate, even if no words are exchanged. When you focus on your mission, your work, your fitness, your skills, your growth, you shift from emotional survival to intentional living. Momentum replaces anxiety. Progress replaces rumination. With that shift, your confidence becomes quiet but undeniable. You're no longer trying to prove anything. You're building something. That distinction changes how you show up in every area of life, including relationships. This redirection also removes pressure from the dynamic. When a woman feels that a man's happiness depends on her response, attraction collapses. But when she senses that his life continues to move forward regardless, it creates emotional relief. She no longer feels responsible for managing his emotions. That freedom allows attraction to resurface naturally without force. Focus also sharpens boundaries. A man who is committed to his purpose doesn't tolerate ambiguity or disrespect for long, not because he's harsh, but because he knows where his energy belongs. That clarity is attractive because it signals leadership. Leadership isn't about control, it's about direction, and direction gives people something to follow. Many men underestimate how visible their inner state really is. Even without contact, emotional energy carries. When you're centered, calm, and disciplined, it subtly changes how you perceive. Your absence feels different. It's not empty or needy, it's full, full of purpose, full of momentum. That's what makes someone miss your energy before they miss you personally. This is why focus must be genuine. Pretending to be busy or successful doesn't work. The shift happens only when you truly invest in yourself. When your growth becomes real, the outcome becomes secondary. Whether she returns or not, you're stronger, more confident, and more self directed than before. And here's the paradox: the less you need a specific result, the more attractive you become, because neediness repels, but self sufficiency draws people in. So bring your attention back to what matters, build your life, master your discipline, strengthen your focus. Because when your energy is aligned with purpose, everything around you, including attraction, begins to realign naturally. Most men believe a woman starts missing them first, but that's rarely how it happens. What she feels initially isn't nostalgia for your face or your voice, it's the absence of your energy, the way you showed up, the emotional atmosphere you brought into her life, the grounding presence that made things feel stable, exciting, safe. Energy is felt before it's understood, and when it disappears, the effect is immediate even if it's not consciously recognized. When you cut off access and redirect your focus, the emotional environment changes. She no longer has the benefit of your attention, your reassurance, or your leadership. That loss creates a subtle imbalance. At first, she may feel relief or indifference, but as time passes, the emotional contrast begins to surface. Conversations elsewhere feel different, the interactions lack depth. The emotional tone she once experienced becomes harder to find. This is because masculine energy isn't loud or demanding, it's consistent, calm, and directional. When it's present, it stabilizes emotions. When it's gone, things feel scattered. She may not immediately label it as missing you, but she senses that something is off. And that feeling leads to reflection. Energy also carries memory. The body remembers how it felt around someone long after logic has moved on. The way you listened without reacting, the way you stayed composed under pressure, the way you didn't chase, yet were present. Those emotional imprints become more noticeable when they're no longer available on demand. What accelerates this awareness is contrast. When she encounters inconsistency, emotional chaos, or surface level attention elsewhere, the difference becomes clear, stability starts to feel rare, emotional grounding feels valuable, and the absence of your energy becomes more pronounced. This is why cutting off access works only when it's paired with genuine self focus. If you remove yourself but remain emotionally needy, the energy doesn't change. But when you truly redirect your attention to your growth, your purpose, and your well being, the energetic shift is real. She feels that you're no longer orbiting her emotional world, and that independence creates a vacuum. Many men mistakenly think they need to remind her of their value. In reality, value is felt through absence when it was once consistently present. Your silence isn't empty, it's full of forward motion, and forward motion creates curiosity. At this stage, she may not reach out directly. Instead, she might check quietly, ask questions indirectly, or test the waters casually. These are signs that the loss of energy is being registered emotionally. She's not ready to admit it yet, but the process has started. It's important to stay centered here. Reacting too soon or trying to capitalize on this phase disrupts it. The power of this moment lies in restraint. The more you remain grounded, the more clearly the absence is felt. Because before a woman misses you, before she wants you back, she misses how your energy made her feel. And that realization is often what pulls her attention back in the first place. When you stop seeking validation, you reclaim something far more important than attention. You reclaim your self worth. Validation seeking is subtle. It shows up as checking for responses, looking for reassurance, over explaining your intentions, or adjusting yourself just to maintain connection. Most men don't even realize they're doing it. But the moment you decide that your value doesn't need to be confirmed by anyone else, the entire emotional dynamic begins to shift. Attraction weakens when a man is trying to be chosen. The need for approval places the other person in a position of power, and an imbalance erodes desire. When you stop chasing affirmation, you step back into your own frame. You're no longer asking for permission to be confident, you're simply grounded in who you are. That internal shift changes how every interaction feels, even in silence. Emotional independence creates space. When a woman senses that you don't need her attention to feel complete, it removes pressure. She no longer feels like she's responsible for your emotional stability. That freedom allows her to relax. And when pressure disappears, attraction has room to breathe. This is also where curiosity starts to grow. When validation is no longer being offered freely, attention turns inward. She begins to wonder what changed, why you're no longer reacting the same way, why your energy feels different. Curiosity isn't created by effort, it's created by the absence of need. The irony is that most men try harder when they feel attraction slipping. They give more, explain more, and compromise more. But attraction doesn't respond to sacrifice, it responds to self respect. When you stop seeking validation, you signal that your standards are intact. You're not withdrawing emotionally, you're stabilizing. This shift also protects you from emotional volatility. When your sense of worth comes from within, her behavior loses the power to stabilize you. Whether she reaches out or stays distant, you remain steady. That steadiness is rare, and rarity creates value. Over time, this emotional independence often draws attention back, not because you demanded it, but because your presence feels different now. There's no desperation, no expectation, just calm confidence. That energy invites engagement without force. Validation seeking closes doors because it communicates fear of loss. Letting go of it communicates abundance. It tells the world and her that you trust yourself enough to stand alone if necessary. So when you stop looking outside yourself for confirmation, you don't lose connection, you redefine it. And that redefinition is often what makes someone want to step back into your world again. When she reaches out after distance, it's rarely an accident and almost never a full commitment. It's a test, not a test of how much you care, but a test of how centered you are. She's feeling the absence of your energy and wants to see what happens when she re enters your emotional space. Will you stay grounded or will you collapse back into old patterns? That moment reveals everything. The reach out often comes disguised as something small, a casual message, a neutral question, a memory brought up without explanation. On the surface, it looks harmless. But underneath, she's gauging your emotional temperature. She wants to know if you're still reactive, still waiting, still seeking reassurance. If you rush and emotionally overshare or push for clarity, the test answers itself and attraction stalls. Emotional strength shows up as calm presence. You respond without urgency. You don't interrogate her motives. You don't try to define the relationship in one conversation. You stay light, composed, and respectful of your own boundaries. That steadiness communicates confidence far more effectively than words. It tells her that you're not operating from fear of loss. This is where patience matters. Many men mistake contact for resolution. They believe the goal is to lock it in as soon as communication resumes, but attraction rebuilds through positive emotional experiences, not explanations. The more you let things unfold naturally, the safer it feels for her to engage. Safety doesn't come from guarantees, it comes from emotional stability. Your job in this phase isn't to impress or persuade, it's to remain yourself, the version who redirected focus, built momentum, and stopped seeking validation. If you maintain that internal alignment, the interaction feels different, lighter, more genuine. She senses that you're not trying to extract something from her, and that absence of pressure invites more openness. She may test again, pull back slightly, reappear, ask indirect questions. This isn't confusion, it's calibration. She's checking consistency. Are you the same calm, centered man, regardless of her level of engagement? Consistency builds trust, and trust is what allows attraction to grow again without force. What derails this process is emotional urgency. Trying to fast forward, relive the past, or demand certainty puts weight back on the connection. That weight is what caused distance in the first place. Strength is letting momentum build on its own timeline. Remember, a reach out doesn't mean you've won anything, it means the door is open. How you walk through that door determines whether it stays open. When you respond from composure instead of expectation, you position yourself as someone she can reconnect with naturally. So treat the reach out as what it is, an opportunity to demonstrate emotional mastery, because the man who stays grounded in that moment is the one whose energy she keeps coming back to. The final shift happens when you realize that her return is no longer the goal. Growth becomes the priority. This is the point most men never reach because they stay emotionally attached to an outcome. But real power shows up when you understand that becoming a stronger, more grounded man matters more than whether anyone chooses you. That mindset alone changes everything. When your focus is on growth, you stop negotiating with uncertainty. You're no longer waiting for signs, decoding messages, or placing your emotional state on pause. You move forward, you refine your habits, your discipline, your standards. You build a life that feels solid from the inside out. And that internal stability becomes visible in how you carry yourself, how you speak, and how you respond to life. This is what creates real confidence, not bravado, not pretending you don't care, but knowing you'll be fine either way. When a man reaches that place, he stops chasing validation, starts attracting respect. Women feel that shift immediately. There's no pressure, no need, no agenda, just presence. Ironically, this is often when women feel the strongest pull, not because you're trying to get them back, but because you no longer need them to complete you. Need repels. Self sufficiency draws people in. When you're building something meaningful, your energy changes. It becomes calm, purposeful, and magnetic. Growth also protects you from repeating old patterns. Even if she returns, you're not the same man anymore. You've raised your standards. You know what you tolerate and what you don't. You're not afraid to walk away from dynamics that don't align with who you've become. That strength ensures that any reconnection happens on healthier terms or not at all. And if she doesn't return, you haven't lost anything. You've gained clarity, discipline, and direction. You've built a version of yourself that doesn't hinge on someone else's decisions. That's real freedom. Most men chase relationships hoping they'll give their life meaning. Strong men build meaning first, then allow others to share in it. That difference changes everything. So let growth be the win. Let strength be the outcome. Because when you focus on becoming better instead of being chosen, you step into a position where anyone who wants your energy has to earn it.